be rich.
Hey everybody, welcome to Salty Saturday, where we showcase at least one awesome match each week. I'm Donde, excited to be here with you all. As always, joining me is Icicles, man, the myth, the legend, the man behind Powbot, one of them anyway. What's going on, Ice?
Not much. Yeah, it's interesting. You call me Ice, but I'm going to bring the heat right now. We only have
Ooh.
one match tonight.
I said at
Where
least
are the
one.
rest of y'all? Yeah, where are the rest of
Everybody
y'all? Come
messaged
on.
me wanting 9 p.m. and Mojo and nebcanuck got there first, so that's what we went with because it's first come first serve.
Right,
And
right.
Itachi was like, "Oh, just go ahead and do my match at the exact same time." I was like, "Well, that's not how it really works." So we're gonna stick with one tonight. It's gonna be a legacy match between Mojopowell and nebcanuck. Mojopowell of Golden Common, by the way, do not adjust your monitors. That is their logo down in the bottom left there. It's a Pasca special. You know how he does. And then nebcanuck is representing Defias Brotherhood. This is the Gold Conference in Legacy. So this should be a fun one tonight here. Looking at the class, we don't have bands yet. It is Legacy, so we don't know we don't know the deck list. We just know the classes. We've got a Demon Hunter, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior versus a Paladin, Rogue, Shaman, Warrior. The standard classes that we've been seeing so far in the first few weeks. Any thoughts there, Icicles, on what we might see for bands?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Mojo bans the Warrior and nebcanuck bans the Rogue. I think Rogue is still pretty strong despite the Edwin nerf.
Agreed.
And I think Warrior has been strong and is one of the few strong classes that has not been touched by any nerfs to this point. So looking at what the classes they brought, because Mojo brought that Demon Hunter, I think that is just an extra notch in the anti-Warrior belt. And then for nebcanuck, I think Rogue is just a really strong deck right now and is a pretty safe ban across the board. So.
Yeah, looking down the list, just in the Gold Conference alone, Rogue does seem to be the pick of the week. It's not overwhelming, but it does seem to be the most picked band. I see, Shaman in there as well, Warrior. I mean, Warrior's pretty versatile. There's a lot of different archetypes. I know they all tend to lean on the control-y side, but you're never quite sure whether you're going to see Bomb, whether you're going to see Silas or anything, just straight control or ETC. There's a whole lot of little tweaks you can do to it. Sometimes Warrior's a good band just to say I don't want to deal with the nuance there, and then of course we don't know how Shaman really fares in a conquest setting until after this shakes out, and we see some stats. So sometimes it might just be best to get rid of that. But the good news is, if a deck beats you, it can only beat you once in Conquest. So you can still construct the lineup, and lose a game doesn't necessarily mess with your whole flow.
Yeah, we had seen people leaving up Shaman intentionally even before the nerf as
True.
trying to somewhat target it, with the use of Cobalt Sticky Fingers or Aggro Decks or different things. So the fact that it was nerfed is probably just another reason why we've seen so many Rogue bans here, at least in the Gold Conference, and fewer Shaman bans. So wouldn't be surprised to see both Shamans make it through tonight. Get to see maybe Evolve, maybe something else. We'll see what these players have decided. If they think it's still worth bringing, or if they try to shift into a different archetype.
True. I mean, I still think it's definitely worth a look at this point. I mean, I've seen it a little bit on ladder still. People are playing it for sure. It's not a dead archetype, though the hit to box my Knuckles does hurt. Dreadcore as well. So there are ramifications outside of just the weapon being changed itself. So I do like the change. I think it will at least even things out a little bit as far as the ladder is concerned. I don't know what we'll see with Conquest lineups, but I think they'll take a week or two to really have that pan out. So just checking in with the players here to see if they are also with the bans. Haven't heard anything yet, but we are looking at a 9-7 lead for Golden Common, by the way, going into this match here. So as far as implications are concerned, this could be a 3-0 start to the season if Mojo wins tonight, nebcanuck wins or puts up at least 2 points, then Defias has a chance to at least tie Golden Common this week and would move them to 2-1 on the season if they win.
Yeah, I think we've seen the Golden Common, by the way, ranked as a Gold Legendary team on the THL PAL podcast. The name kind of a dig at me personally because of how I end up ranking Pasca's teams. I'm not making that mistake this time around. This team has been good from the beginning, and so it shows no signs of slowing down. Defias Brotherhood is another good team that dominated the Red Conference last season.
Yes.
Not quite off to an explosive start this time around, but I expect them to be competing for a playoff spot basically up until the end. So should be a good match. Two good players on two good teams.
So are you telling me that Pasca took something personally? Is that what you were implying there?
Yes.
That's never happened before, right?
He has never taken anything else I've done personally. He just has locked into this one. So this is the only data point that I have. So I have
I'm
to
just kidding.
assume that
He uses bulletin board material. I love it. It's great for your teams. If it's not obviously everything we do content wise is for fun. We're not here to slight teams or players. And if the players or teams are ranked lower than they expect to be, it's not any personal bias or anything like that. At least I hope it's not. So Pasca, we love you, bud. We don't do it for any other reason than to give you the fuel that you need to have your teams put up big weeks.
yeah, any team that gets slighted in the rankings is usually the teams that I hear from the most. So it's kind of how it goes. So any word yet on the bans for me to play?
Not yet. Mojo told me what he is banning, but I don't. We've had that before. I don't want to reveal that just in case something goes wrong.
Sure.
We haven't heard from nebcanuck yet.
Very responsible of you.
All right. So I believe you said Warrior and Rogue were going to be the bans, correct?
That is what I predicted.
Well, congratulations, because Mojo's Rogue is banned and nebcanuck's Warrior is banned.
All right. How about that? I know what I'm
So
talking about
I
sometimes.
say I'm going to expect you to carry the cast tonight with your superior knowledge, because that was a good call to start with.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it just makes sense. And the other thing too is the lead. I don't think the lead is quite as important in a Conquest series as it is in Hero, but it can still set the tone for the series. So I wouldn't be surprised to see nebcanuck actually lead his Rogue, since it's not banned and he targeted Mojos for that ban. It's often something that players do when they think a deck is strong. And not only do they ban it, but they also lead it. And from Mojo's side, I could see him potentially leading the Shaman, just to kind of see if he can get that win out there. Maybe get that deck out of the way. So we'll see if that pans out. But there's no reason not to double down on predictions. Once you get one right, you just have to keep throwing stuff out. Because,
of course.
I mean, what could go wrong?
Well, we are about to get in the game here as they are getting going, and Mojo is going to be at the bottom of your screen, and nebcanuck will be on the top. We'll see what they lead off with. going to be Demon Hunter versus Paladin. Mojo's Demon Hunter.
Excellent. Yeah, we couldn't continue my streak of completely correct predictions. So glad that that was immediately trounced. And it looks like I might be having a little trouble with spectating. So please give me a moment to restart my phone. And you get to carry the cast for a moment. So you said it was a Demon Hunter for Mojo and Paladin for nebcanuck?
That is correct. Neb does not have Spectate turned on, so I'm going to have to message him here, see if we can get his cards. But we are seeing that it is an OTK Demon Hunter. Or no. Actually, I didn't see part of the mulligan. This might just be a Soul DH.
Yeah, I was going to like before you mentioned it potentially being the OTK, which might give a little bit of points back to Mojo in terms of matchup. But you know, this was the two classes that they brought separately from each other, aside from the bans. And Paladin generally is favored into Demon Hunter in most iterations. So kind of nice for nebcanuck to get that start with the Paladin lining up against Mojo's Demon Hunter. So that's to be feeling good about that, at least initially.
All right, we might be experiencing a spectate bug here, like we did last week, where nebcanuck I cannot spec him. He says it's on, but I can't spec him. So we'll hopefully figure that out as we go along here.
Yeah.
But in the
I will be
meantime,
guessing.
we'll be guessing for the meantime. We do see a Spear Jailer come down turn 1 here for Mojopowell, standard opener for a Soul DH, and then first day of school was the play for nebcanuck with a Blazing Battle Mage, which is one of the better one-drops that you can hope for, outside of anything synergizing with your deck, an Alder Attendant, something along those lines. So Libram of Wisdom is looking like it's one of the standard Libram or Pure Paladin right out of the gate.
Sounds pretty good. All right, so I might have gotten over one of the hurdles. nebcanuck invited me to spectate, so I at least get to see the game. Mojo has as well, so that might be your ticket in. See if they extend you the same courtesy. Unfortunately, nebcanuck, I'm watching his screen. I was not able to get Mojo's, and it's not letting me accept the invite since I'm already in one. So I will be operating off of half information.
As will I.
I'm looking at Neb's Paladin here. He's holding a pretty good array of cards. He's got the Outdoor Attendant he just drew, along with a Voidwalker off the first day of school, Salhad's Pride, the Lord Barov, and an Aldor Truth Seeker. So a lot of cards that you want to see in this matchup. I wouldn't be surprised to see him Hero Power here just to use the mana, although he could also opt to play the Voidwalker and the Libram if he wants to do it that way. Yeah, it always is a little bit of a risk to play a Libram early, but at the same time, if you bait out a Consume Magic on something weak like a Voidwalker, then you don't have to worry about it silencing something more important like a Taunt or even a Libram of Hope later in the game.
Good news is we received an invite from nebcanuck, and now we can see his cards too. So stream should be fully apprised of everything that is happening in this game now.
Perfect.
Panthar coming down here for Mojo, pulls a Twin Slice as the draw.
Yeah, I think the one thing for nebcanuck here, depending on which 1 health minions he has in his deck, if he is running the Novice Engineer or Loot Hoarder, he's definitely going to want to pick them up off the Salhad's Pride just to give him a little more juice. Because the one thing that Paladin could potentially struggle with is not having the resources in hand. You got plenty in your deck, but if you don't draw them, then the Demon Hunter can kind of just burn you out of the game in the mid game.
You're definitely going to want to see some protective cards there for nebcanuck to make sure he doesn't just get smacked by Mojo. We see Il'kanoth in hand too for Mojo, so there is, with a second Warblades, a possibility for a lot of damage really quick for this Soul DH.
Yeah, and we do see 2 Novice Engineers picked up from nebcanuck, so we'll have the ability to get through his deck.
That he is getting a lot of those defensive cards. We see a Devout Pupil get picked up as well. Plays a Truth Seeker there, making the Libram of Hope cheaper. So ideally, he can continue to drip these defensive threats out and at least ward off Mojo being able to make repeated connections with the face to eventually finish this game off. So Mojo, you see, kind of concerned that he might just throw out Il'kanoth right here. He's going to go ahead and do that. And this is Not what I expected to see here on turn 5.
Yeah, I'm surprised with 2 Marrow Slicers in hand, he didn't just go ahead and play 1. With the even though Shaman's nerfed, it still is reasonable for Paladin to run the Sticky Finger. So maybe he's thinking about that, but I think it still was probably a good option just to be able to clear off this 5/7, develop a weapon, put Soul Fragments in your deck. And the fact that you have 2 of them plus an Warblades, that's a lot of weapon swings, and you want to try to get through them as much as you can, even if it doesn't feel great to punch a 5/7 times. I mean, those weapon swings are going to be hard to get through as the later this game goes.
And as of this point, before this Novice Engineer was played, nebcanuck had not played a neutral card, so Mojo could have still not known that this was, a Librum or a Librum Paladin versus the pure Paladin archetype.
Right.
So now we know. Now he knows that it is not a pure Paladin, and does make the Sticky Fingers a more legitimate possibility than it was before.
This is a pretty threatening board from the Paladin. He does draw Mojo, does get the Blade Dance, so that in conjunction with Shatter, Mystic, man, tongue tying all over the place. Does give him some ways of clearing this over a couple turns, but would have been a lot easier to clear if he'd had that Mirror Slicer equipped. So might be thinking about that again. But let's see what he opts to do on this turn. It could be the Mystic coming down just to soften up the board a little bit. He's hovering over the Marrow Slicer. So
yeah, Marrow Slicer plus the next turn being Mystic and Blade Dance at the same time would almost certainly clear this board out.
Right.
But in the meantime, could result in quite a bit of damage. Maybe he's feeling, all right, I can play the Marrow Slicer here. I've got Warblades in my back pocket as an option to heal a little bit, but he's going to play the second slice now and use that to clear the 6/6.
See if he opts to trade his 2/3 into the Divine Shield of the 4/5.
Looks like he will.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like you said, just softening up that board a little bit. Does send the 2 Librams of Wisdom back to hand, though, to make this a little bit harder to clear on the ensuing turn. We're going to see Libram of Hope come down, too. That's going to go ahead and put nebcanuck back to full. A couple of Librams.
Yeah. And the tough part for Mojo here, he doesn't realize it yet, but he will soon, is that nebcanuck picked up the second Libram of Hope. And generally speaking, 1 can often be enough to turn the tide. In this matchup, 2 is almost devastating for the Demon Hunter. Almost very few ways of dealing with all of that now. Even with the AoE he has, it might take most of his resources in his hand just to get through the first one and leave him with no answer for the second.
Maybe.
So it does look like, as you predicted, the Mystic into the Blade Dance here. It will require him to also punch the 8/4 now, just to clear it. And he's going to get the bad news that there's another one coming right behind. There is a temptation on nebcanuck's side that because you don't need the healing, is it still worth it to play it? But I don't think there's any reason not to at this point. You've seen a couple pretty important resources used from the Demon Hunter side. So even though you're not getting the value of the heal, I think just the value of the 8/8 is incredibly important in this moment. Knowing that the Demon Hunter only has 3 cards, it could just end the game for you if he doesn't have the answer.
Right. I do like seeing the draw first. I think that was the right move to see what you pick up. And this then becomes a 10/10 Libram Taunt Divine Shield Bad News minion for Mojopowell. The Relentless Pursuit is interesting.
It's not enough because of the 2 Librams
because of the
used.
2, yeah. Though, can he get out of death range if he uses Relentless plus Eldrachi 2, 6, 7, puts him to 14? It would at least allow him to not be dead on board this turn if he uses that combination.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be his only choice.
And that's what he'll choose to do. in hopes to pick up something that will allow him to remove it next turn without using his face, or I would assume there's a second Relentless Pursuit in the deck. Maybe not. It's one of those cards that doesn't appear in every single version of the list, but at least not two ofs, but it's likely to be there. So nebcanuck doesn't see the need to really play anything, especially with what he's got in hand. He's got enough damage on board, and see if Mojo can work his way out of the situation he's in.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't. What he's debating right now is whether or not to play the Libram of Justice for just that one extra damage over a few turns. It's not a terrible idea. If you know that Mojo's going to heal a little bit. Skull, a really big pickup.
Skull's humongous. Lapidary. There's a soul fragment. It's a little healing. Beats that Kane discount and then Chaos Strike.
You need something off this Chaos Strike. Maybe the other Blade Dance,
skull.
not the other skull. This is going to take care of the 10-3 and set him up basically back to 5.
Right. Yet again, not dead. Just that's Mojo's status. Yeah. This game is not dead. Hardly.
He would have been dead because of the Libram,
right?
Two Libram Wisdoms, but to draw off the hammer. Can just rub it in a little bit that, oh, maybe I didn't have it and I just drew it. So
yeah, I was gonna say not dead to Mojo. Of course, we know seeing the hand that it did not matter, unfortunately. But yes, Mojo's gonna fall here in game 1 as nebcanuck takes game 1 with that Libram Paladin. Didn't see any penflingers, didn't need them.
Yeah, so a good start for nebcanuck getting the favored win, knowing that the Soul Demon Hunter is potentially going to have a good matchup into the Rogue and maybe even the Shaman now. This is something that the Shaman, I think, was favored prior to the nerf, and maybe that nerf is enough to kind of tip the scales back towards the Demon Hunter. Don't know if we have enough data yet to say one way or the other, but good win for nebcanuck just to get that Paladin through.
Yeah, drew pretty well that game. A lot of discounts on the Librams pretty quickly is what you like to see, especially when you get those Librams in hand. And I think, like you said, navigated that well, knowing to use the Libram of Hope there, even though there was no healing potential, just to put the big threat on board and continue to push the issue with the Demon Hunter. So, well played, and we'll see what happens here in Game 2 as we get started. It's going to be...
And no surprise for Mojo to bring back the Demon Hunter with its worst matchup out of the way. It might as well bring it back. And so you're going to see what looks like an interesting version of Shaman with a couple cards that are not part of the Evolve list. This could be an aggro list.
Yeah, Enhancement is like the ones with the weapons, usually with a lot of overload.
Mm-hmm.
Could be that. Yeah.
A lot of burn. So
a lot of
It
burn.
definitely looks like a very aggressive deck from nebcanuck. So this should, in theory, line up well for the Demon Hunter with the AoE, clearing out what few minion threats nebcanuck will play, as well as the healing from Eldrachi, being able to kind of negate some of that burn that the Shaman wants to put out. And from the Shaman's perspective, not having healing in this deck could just give the Demon Hunter the ability just to burn him down instead. So will be interesting to see how it plays out. I think for nebcanuck making the most aggressive start he can here with the 1/3 coining out the Sludge Slurper behind it. Makes a lot of sense. Just put as much pressure as he can early.
Trog into Totem it is not, however.
Not quite, no.
I don't know if that triggered a few people who are longtime Hearthstone players, but yeah, Aggro Shaman had its day. This is not nearly as potent as that one was, but that is probably for the best.
It's interesting that Mojo opts to just hero power down the 1/2 and instead of playing a 2/3. It looks like he's seeing his hand being a little bit heavier and wanting to make sure he gets the draw, the resource off the 2/3 instead of just playing it for tempo. So he thinks he's well suited to deal with this in the long term and wants to just make sure that he can find additional resources where he can afford to.
Does end up kind of working out here as he can clear this 1/1 with his hero power and play the Panthara to get the benefit of the draw, which we see is a Spirit Jailer, and he's gonna need those. He's gonna need those soul fragments. So good pickup there, I think.
Yeah, from Neb's perspective now, sets up pretty nicely for Serpent Shrine into the 2/3. He's opting to go for it face, so
gonna burn it down. Oh man, and what a pickup off the portal.
Yeah. It's not bad. Lets him clear the 2-3 anyway. I think that worked out for him. I think I would have liked to have seen the portal hit the 2-3 just to protect the minions, but because of the minion that he got, it might not have mattered that much one way or the other. So let's see if he opts
Mojo
to
takes
slipper
down
try
the minion.
again. The Surging Tempest is a decent option. If he wants to go wide, play that with a slipper plus a lackey. The portal, if he used the portal face last turn, it wouldn't hurt to use it again this turn, knowing that it's going to get cleared up by the weapon, but it still is another potential hit of damage to the face if Mojo's using that weapon for clearing him.
Alternatively, could see the Sludge Slurper here with the Lackey, whatever comes out of the Lackey generator. Then you end up with 3 minions on board.
Mm-hmm. And he's counting up how much mana he wants to spend next turn because being overloaded for 1 with a couple 3 mana spells in hand is a little bit awkward. But I think it's probably at this point still wise to put out as much pressure as possible. And he opts to go for the totem instead. So maybe giving himself a little more flexibility for the next couple turns. But I think the longer that he waits to really knock out this Demon Hunter, the worse it's going to be for you because of their capacity for healing between the soul fragments and the lifesteal in the deck.
And speaking of the soul fragments, we're going to see 4 more get shuffled in here. Soul Shear was ticked up off the top. Easy clear of the 2-3. And he's going to leave the totem up. That's fine. Not a lot of damage represented there. Probably not worried about a single totem.
Yeah.
And as you said, here comes that Serpentine Portal 2-face, and it's a taunt.
No, I think the reason why he held that swing is because he wants to play the Lapidary into the Bladely on the next turn, and he would not be able to do that if he had swung with a weapon. So
absolutely.
Good patience by Mojo, knowing that he's setting himself up to really kind of swing this back. And drawing the Eldrachi is a big deal because that gives him a little more comfort in how this game's going to play out. So.
And he'll go ahead and swing this time with the Marrow Slicers. That's a 9 damage swing, plus that Eldrachi Warblades in hand now. Mojo might stabilize. Oh, that is a Lightning Bloom draw. What's the max damage that nebcanuck can put out here? 3, 5, 7 mana. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be 12 because of the totem. So.
Right. Not quite there yet, but that's a scary amount of stuff in hand.
Yeah, he definitely wants to set it up to where next turn he can get
this plus Dunk Tank.
So I would probably want to play the Dunk Tank now, potentially. The alternative, you could play both Rock Biters a bunch. I don't know that. I don't think Demon Hunter is a taunter anyway to generate a taunt, but still, just kind of a practice to do that. But goes for the Dunk Tank. Again, like I said, not worried about any taunts coming from the Demon Hunter. So we'll see how Mojo plays it.
Yeah, I like using the Dunk Tank in that situation too because you're getting the benefit of the totem right now, and you don't know if that's going to be around a turn from now. So that's in my eyes the smart play.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have enough damage though.
Oh, Twin Slice.
Oh, the Twin Slice pickup changes that. Nice. So does he leave the totem up?
He leaves the totem up.
Yeah, so Nub will be 2 damage away. Lightning Bloom doesn't do it.
6, 11, 12? No. Does not get there.
And I don't know if there's a dragon that saves him here either, with how much damage is represented being only at 4 life himself. I think Mojo did just enough to get through. That Twin Slice pickup saved the day, for sure.
Might be worth to see what you can get out of the Dragon Lackey first. Knowing that he can effectively dump his whole hand here if he needs to. Alex Straza. Wait, is that playable with the double? Well, you can. I mean, he can play it.
He can play it.
But it wouldn't have saved him. Is the problem?
Yeah, it's boss lethal.
And we will see Mojo get back to even here with a win in game 2.
Yeah, I think that's probably the expected outcome. I think this whole Demon Hunter is well positioned against aggro decks generally, and especially ones that rely on not much burn. Just enough healing to get over the edge. It's definitely close, but I'd like to see a tied series 1-1. So we'll see if Neb wants to stick to that aggro shaman. And Mojo now might have to go for the warrior. could be the choice here. Again, with the Paladin out of the pool, Warriors should line up reasonably well into the aggro Shaman and any Warrior that's brought. But no, it's going to be a Shaman versus Shaman. All right.
Question remains to see: is it a mirror?
Kind of, yeah. Looking at
A
the
little
rear
bit.
and the Inara, yeah, very much in the same realm. This looks like a little more minion heavy on Mojo's side. Granted, we didn't see all of Neb's deck, but it looks like Mojo's got more of the minion-based aggro shaman versus Neb's more burn-based list. So
yeah, I think Mojo's is kind of what you would refer to as that enhancement shaman with that Storm Strike Inara, whereas nebcanuck is just a straight aggro, straight burn shaman. Interesting enough that both players brought shaman and decided not to bring evolve. It's always interesting to see in a nerf week, especially one where the nerf was sprung on us so late in the week. Does anybody still believe in the archetype after its demise, quote unquote? And it looks like neither of these players do.
Yep. It was a pretty solid start for Mojo being able to kind of flood the board a little bit, pick off one of these minions. I'll lose one of the initiates to the shot bot most likely, but otherwise it's a very threatening board, and being able to follow it up with 2 Storm Strikes means he's going to be able to keep the board basically as long as he wants. So a good start for him. The only thing is that those 2 Storm Strikes are the only cards he has in his hand, so Neb potentially could, with this Note Taker, be able to find ways of clearing this board and maybe stabilizing a little bit himself. But until then, this is kind of awkward.
As we saw, though, nebcanuck's not really not really that fights for board that much, though. It wants to go face, it wants to send that damage as much as it can to face, and really, if it has to deal with the board, that's just going to make the deck less effective here. So it might be a situation where Mojopowell just took the board and is never going to let it go.
And so from Neb's perspective is, does he have enough burn? Can he deploy it quickly enough to race? And I don't think the answer is yes, at least not with what he's got. If he could corrupt that dump tank, it'd be a different story, but I don't think we saw anything in the first match that would do it. I think it might just be like a Doomhammer or 2, maybe an Aura in his list as well. But the first Storm Strike comes down and clears up one of the minions, gets a trade for the other. I might have liked to have seen maybe the face trade instead.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself.
On the board, but I don't know that that's necessarily too bad of a play. You're still putting out pressure. That's a little more damage face, and that might end up mattering in the end. Another kind of awkward decision from Neb here. Probably Slush Slurper. Hopefully get a lackey that gives you something else to do.
Shooting.
Cobalt's not bad either. I feel like you had a to be fair coming. Would you like to expand upon your point?
I just said shooty.
Oh, shooty.
That's all I got.
Got it. You're very excited to see it.
I'm excited to see a non-witchy lackey. Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah. The other Storm Strike is used. So at this point, Mojo's out of resources. Lightning Bloom is not really going to be worth much. So if Neb can figure out a way to kind of get back on the board, and Cumulo Maximus might be the answer. Not this turn, but going forward, it will activate the dump tank. And if Mojo's only able to put out a couple cheap minions, then this might be enough for Neb to kind of get back into this game.
Now, he's not overloaded this turn, so you can't overload next turn either and use the Cumulo. You just play it as potentially a body.
It might just be good enough.
Just to activate the dump tank.
Yeah, especially with Mojo drawing a lightning bolt, so we're just gonna see a totem from the lightning bolt. So I definitely want to see Neb play this 5/5, depending on what he draws. But just having a 5/5 on the board right now seems really good to me. This is a point where it's pretty easy to get locked into why the Cumulo Maximus is in your deck. It's because it does 5 damage, and you want that 5 damage. But sometimes just having the Temple on board is just really important. So he's going to set up to get that 5 damage next turn. This isn't a bad line, all things considered. Considering Mojo doesn't have any pressure coming back. Now this way you guarantee that 5 damage coming in. So Mojo grabs the hammer, which helps a little bit, but he's just really just kind of run dry at this point.
Yeah, I think the line that nebcanuck took here is largely predicated on, like you said, on the fact that Mojo has one card in hand, a card that he has repeatedly opted to not play, and with
Mhm.
the amount of mana he's got and the type of deck he's running, odds are that he would have been able to play it if he had wanted to. So a pretty good tell that it's not really useful in this situation here. So I do like you said, I like the idea of just playing the Cumulo Maximus for tempo, but opts not to do that, and now we're sitting with the option of playing it this turn. Where do you go with the damage?
Yeah, so he has the option to throw it face, and then follow up with 9 more damage, plus potentially a swing of the Cumulo Maximus itself, which totals to 19 damage. So he's one short. He takes that line, barring a lightning bolt or some other. I think it probably would just be lightning bolt. Um, he could opt to kill this totem, which seems like a safe way. I think if Mojo had been at 19 health, I probably would have thrown that damage face and set up for the kill next turn. But I think this is a reasonable option. Um, it is gonna be pretty close though.
Yeah, second hammer coming down now. But we're going to see that dunk tank here. It'll clear the board.
The dunk tank now is massive. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see the Tempest, the Dunk Tank, and the Lava Burst all come down now. There's really not too much value in
Definitely.
holding it. Um, I mean, you could totem, I suppose, but I think I'd rather just throw the damage as much as I can. Um, I guess the totem does make some sense to try to roll a taunt totem because you could be dead to lightning bolt or some other burn. Does not get it, so this could just be enough for Mojo depending on what he draws. He definitely needs it to be this draw for that last bit of burn to win this game.
What will it be off the top? Beaming Sidekick is not one of those cards. Could stay alive with a taunt totem? Nope.
Hey, I got you, friend.
So that should wrap up game number 3.
And Mojo just gets one turn shy as, well, Torrent picked up there for Canucks, so even if it was a taunt totem, had the options to get through. And we will see this go 2-1 as Shaman beats Shaman, but no evolve. No evolve this game.
The last deck for Neb now is going to be Rogue, correct?
For Neb is Rogue, yes, because the Warrior was banned.
So depending on which Rogue it is, and the fact that Mojo's Shaman is pretty minion heavy, this could be a good matchup for the Rogue, especially if it's running the double prize plunders, the world kicks. There's a lot of early answers to minion pressure that the Rogue has available to it. So even though the fact that the Rogue doesn't have healing, because Mojo's list looks to be more minion centric versus burn, it could be tough for him to establish the same board that he did in the game we just saw. So I would definitely lean towards Neb having the edge here in this matchup. Let's see if Mojo opts to go with a different deck. No, he sticks with the Shaman. So we see a couple of those early answers. Backstab, Prize Plunder, One Thief, really good opening options for Neb. He might even opt to keep the questing, although I think I would probably want to throw that back just for early answers. You're kind of, what you're playing against, so that questing is less of a premium than it would be in some other matchups. So I'd like to see some more answers from Neb and keep the other 3 cards. The opposite,
Yeah,
keep it.
the other cards do have great utility here in this matchup. Mojo with the turn 1 play of the Surging Tempest, one of the best cards to draw in this deck on turn 1, or to have in your hand on turn 1, I should say. But this interesting here, Backstab plus Prize Plunderer. That's hard enough to say. It goes ahead and clears it off before it can do any damage.
Yeah, and I think that's probably smart. Just keep the board clear. These, yeah. You don't have a good activator for the One Thief yet, but because you have questing and coin, you're going to be set up pretty well. So you just want to keep those early minions out of the way. And Force Mojo did not get any value off this hammer. So pretty good start for Neb so far.
Yeah, with Mojo having that second Wackadoodle Hammer in hand, just going to go ahead and use that first swing. No need to be too picky about using them that early if you've already got one in hand that you can go ahead and toss out again when he does eventually get some minions on board here.
So Neb kept the questing. Let's see if he opts to play it and coin out the one thief to set up a 4/4. As far as he can tell, out of the range of the hammer. If you're gonna keep a questing in this type of matchup and not play it right away, then I question why you would keep it. But sometimes game states change, and it looks like he's gonna take a more passive approach. So wants to be, I guess, a little more reactive and wait to potentially build even a bigger questing, or just save those resources for when you have minions to throw them at. So, especially with the prize splinter pickup, allowing him a kind of greater flexibility to answer some of these minions.
Mojo not the strongest turn there. Does have a small board now, using that beaming sidekick to make the totem a little bit more sturdy. And here comes that questing now. This turn for nebcanuck. Questing plus one thief to start.
Yeah, it'll likely be followed up with the coin prize splinter, or maybe coin for increase into the 2/3. Not the greatest options. Not running secrets, so Ancient Mysteries is useless. Ice Barrier might be pretty good here. Just give Rogue that little extra bit of healing that it doesn't normally have.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
I think I like. And it's kind of a tough choice. On the one hand, you can get a lot more by Price Splendor later, but playing it now gives a minion on the board. So even though Brain Freeze lined up nicely into that 2/3, I think I like playing the Price Splendor just to have that additional presence.
I agree. I think I would have done the same. Picks up a Rush Lackey.
Rush Lackey is a very nice pickup for Mojo here. Gives him a little more flexibility. You can play the Wriggling Horde now, and the Rush Lackey. Well, I guess that wouldn't quite do it.
Yeah, Storm Strike plus Rush
is
Lackey
maybe
will.
necessary. Yeah, and save the health so he doesn't have to punch the 5/5 if he chooses. You could also no, I guess that would just be it.
Oh, he's still gonna punch
And
it.
then Rush.
He's gonna clear the. He can't clear the board, but he's gonna get rid of 2 of the 3 minions. Use his face there.
Yeah, this makes sense. Just take the value of the healing totem, the fact that you have the extra health on it. So we'll see Neb looking at JS normally is pretty good on turn 5. The one problem is you're seeing some minions on the board that can very easily negate the illusion for sure. So opts to just coin, Shadow Step the one thief, see if he can get a cheap spell.
He does for Primordial Studies.
Yeah, not a bad option here. Combustion is probably a better choice long term, but if you're just trying to build up this questing, then grabbing that is pretty good. So opts for the taunt as well.
I do like the taunt pickup. Yeah, knowing what he's going up against, the taunt is a great option here. Now we've got a 6/6 questing adventure and no board for Mojopowell.
It was a great turn for Neb there developing the questing. So we'll see how this works out. Yeah, didn't quite get the.
Oh,
so I wonder if Mojo didn't realize he was overloaded there. I don't know, that probably was going to be his best option anyway, but yeah, pretty rough that questing lives.
Yeah, 1 more damage could have been had out of the spell totem if he had rolled that first. Like you said, not sure if he had intended to do that in a different order. But now we're going to see the taunt come down. Even though it's only going to generate 1 more stat for the questing adventure, that still puts him in a good spot here going forward.
So this Storm Strike could be huge depending on if Mojo opts to try to roll the spell damage totem. I think really it's his only option. It's only out at this stage, but does not get it. So it looks like Neb is going to take game 4.
Well,
and
so here's the thing.
Thinking?
If he goes and puts the 2/4 into the 4/7 and one of the quills hits the 7/4, he can Storm Strike the 7/3.
True.
So it's not over. It's not over, but it's going to need a little bit of luck here.
I like to jump the gun and call things over early.
That's okay.
It almost guarantees that it doesn't happen that way, so we get to extend the cast.
Stop the count.
Too soon. So let's see if that's the line that Mojo takes. I think you're right. I think that is really the only option left to him at this point. He's hovering the Storm Strike over the 4/7.
Not sure what that gets him though.
Yeah, I guess. I think you should run it. You may be thinking that maybe you can kill the 4/7 also in the same way, but I don't know that necessarily works out. Yeah, he's gonna leave the questing up, and I think that's just gonna be it.
Well, on the other hand, it would not have hit the questing, so ultimately irrelevant, I suppose.
So Foxy, Ice Barrier, Dagger is enough.
That is definitely enough. That would be exactly lethal.
Could Foxy Edwin is gonna go for Jandis?
Gonna go for Jandis. Okay.
So I guess technically it's miss lethal.
That, I mean,
May not matter. I think this game is pretty well in hand, but
I agree. I think it is well in hand, but yeah, that is not 100% guaranteed win, and you like to take those when you can get it.
yeah, I don't know if there's anything in Mojo's deck that can change the outcome here, but certainly not versus Reader.
We're going to see the self-lethal,
Well played.
and Mojo drops game 4 here as nebcanuck wins now 3-1.
Yeah, big win for Defias, and gives them a 1-point lead going into the last match between Hoska and Conf. So congrats to nebcanuck, well played, and the series is down to the last match. That's what you always like to see, especially for
Absolutely.
Defias in this situation.
Yeah, Defias had to have this one, and to win it that way is quite impressive too. Because now, it could have been a tie game if it was a 3-2, but now Defias actually has a slight lead going into this final match here. It'll be Pasca versus Comp, the two captains of the teams. Will be going head to head here. I assume they're playing tomorrow. If they haven't played already tonight, maybe they'll play late. Who knows? But let's see if we can get nebcanuck in here for a quick interview. He already logged offline.
Places to be, people to see.
I guess so. All right then. He's just like, I'm out of here. No chance of you talking me to an interview. All right. Well, that's not what I expected, but a good match nonetheless. Icicles, any final thoughts on what we saw tonight?
No, it's a good series. It's an interesting take on the Shaman Nurse to both players having the same idea to bring the more aggressive variants, seeing people queuing up more controlling variants as well. So interesting that was the line that both of them took. I think the series, in terms of the matchups, went about where you'd expect, with the kind of key match being that aggro Shaman Mirror and nebcanuck coming out on top. That really swung the series to him. So I think pretty well played by both players, and look forward to seeing how the results end up shaking out for these two teams.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see a little bit of variance in the Shaman. That I think that Shaman will continue to be brought in THL going forward, especially in Conquest. And now, rather than just being a guaranteed evolve bring, you've got the enhancement, you've got the aggro, you've got control, and evolve is still a thing. So I think there will be a vital class to bring going forward, but I think the diversity will make things a little bit more exciting from a lineup standpoint. So we saw that tonight. Should be interesting to see going forward. I'm looking forward to seeing some stats going into next week. So, all right, well that's gonna do it for us. Thanks for the short stream here, Icicles. One series. That's all we get tonight. And thanks for everybody tuning in with us. Hope to see you next week as well. And make sure to tune in tomorrow afternoon. I believe it's 4 p.m. Eastern is School Zone tomorrow afternoon. So that plus the BG playoffs continue, the finals tomorrow night. So should be exciting finish to the week for THL. Icicles, thanks again. Everybody,
Sure.
thanks for being here. Have a great night.
Good night.